ChatGPT was released to the public in 2022, and ever since then, people have been amazed at what it's able to do. Innovation in the field of artificial intelligence has skyrocketed over the past few years, and now it's incredible just how many forms of media can be generated by AI. But AI seems to have one key limiting factor. It doesn't have a body. Yet, and everything that it makes is digital. It can't make anything in the real world, right? Well, no, it can't. But I think there's a way around this. When someone's coding a computer, what they're doing is giving that computer a list of instructions for it to follow. Once it's finished with the instructions, it gives out a result. But even though the computer actually did all the work, the person who coded it still gets all the credit for what it did. What I want to do is switch the roles of me in the computer. I want ChatGPT to give me a list of instructions and all I do is follow them. Then ChatGPT will get the credit for the end result. But for this to work, all of the creativity for the build has to come from ChatGPT. I can't give any of my own input. I chose an Iron Man helmet for it to make because I've made a few other Iron Man helmets before. Some being pretty good and others being, well, not so much. But I think I'll be a pretty good judge of how well ChatGPT does. Now that I know what I'm doing, I think I'm ready to start. First, I asked ChatGPT to make an Iron Man helmet, and it gave me two different options, a basic and an advanced method. Since all the decisions are supposed to come from ChatGPT for this project, I asked which one I should do, and it told me to do the basic method. Next, I asked it for detailed instructions on how to do this, and then I knew exactly what I needed to do. It gave me the option to choose between cardboard and craft foam, so I asked it what to do, and it chose cardboard. Now everything was looking good except for one issue. It told me to get a template and it gave me two options on how to do that. One was to create one myself, but I'm not allowed to do any of the creative work on this project. And the other was to download one from the internet. But that seemed kind of like cheating to me. All the creativity for this project is supposed to come from ChatGPT, but it's just telling me to use someone else's creativity. At that point, it might as well just have me look up a YouTube tutorial on how to make an Iron Man helmet. So instead of doing either of those options, I just asked ChatGPT to generate me some templates. And I've got to say, these are the most interesting Iron Man helmet templates I think I've ever seen. So after printing out the templates and getting some supplies, I was ready to start. The first thing ChatGPT told me to do after getting the templates was to cut them out and trace them onto cardboard. After tracing and cutting out all the templates, I transferred them all to cardboard and then cut them out, taking care to label them as I did, like ChatGPT told me to. The next step was to curve the pieces by rolling them around a bottle. This was interesting to me because I've never used anything to bend my cardboard before. I've always just used my hands. And honestly, I think that these pieces would have turned out better if I didn't use it. They all ended up looking kind of like someone stepped on a pile of cardboard. The fourth step was to finally start putting the helmet together. I started with the back and side pieces like it told me to, and the pieces didn't really match up that great. But it got even worse when I got to the dome. It was almost an inch too big in every direction, which made it difficult to get it centered and make the helmet look symmetrical. After the dome was attached, I glued on the faceplate, or at least what the template called the faceplate, and the main body of the helmet was done. The instructions didn't say anything about the chin piece in the template, so I just threw that away. The fifth step was to smooth the helmet, which a lot of the time is one of the most difficult parts of a build. And I was pretty excited because it told me to use two methods that I've never used before, sanding and masking tape, and I was excited to see how well I did. I'm not sure if ChatGPT knows better than me, but I don't usually sand cardboard. I've sanded 3D prints in spackle that I've put on cardboard, but never the cardboard itself. And honestly, it didn't do that much. If anything, it just ended up fraying the cardboard and it looked worse than it did when it started. Even though the sanding didn't do that much, I had some pretty high hopes for the masking tape. Because while I've never used it for my own projects, I've seen other people use it for theirs, and it seems to turn out pretty well for them. When I finished, it wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than the sanding. And I would definitely recommend it as a good way of covering up the edges and rough spots in a cardboard project. The sixth step was to add the visor. Now, if it was me calling the shots, I'd do this after painting the helmet, so I don't have to cover it with masking tape, but who knows, maybe ChatGPT is just smarter than me. So I took the bottle from earlier, cut out a rectangle, and glued it to the inside of the helmet. and then it was finally time to paint. First, it said to give it a layer of primer. Then after that, it said to apply a coat of red over the entire helmet. Didn't say anything about taping over the visor, so I just went ahead and painted over it. It also didn't say anything about letting the paint dry, so I went ahead and started painting the faceplate gold. Then it told me to add panel lines and vents with black paint. It wasn't very specific about this step, so I just put them in random places. Then it told me to use a small paintbrush to add some weathering to the helmet, but it didn't say to use paint, so I just rubbed the paintbrush all over it. After this, Chat GPT said that I should add some LEDs behind the eyes, but it didn't say anything about batteries or wires or any circuit to power them, so I just glued them behind the eyes by themselves. The final step was to spray the helmet with a clear coat, and after that, the helmet was done. So, here it is, the final product. The Iron Man helmet that Chat GPT helped me build. It's not quite what I imagined. This entire video has been shaped by AI. The title you clicked on, created by AI. The outline that planned every step, written by AI. The music in the background, composed by AI. Even the words I'm speaking right now were generated by AI. And yet, for all that AI could do, for all the structure, guidance, and ideas it provided, this was the result. A helmet that looks like it was drawn by a preschooler. It's not just unfinished, it's rough, poorly shaped, and lacks the refinement we'd expect from a project like this. It's almost ironic, isn't it? AI seems so good at creating. It can generate stunning art, craft beautiful stories, and compose music that moves us. But when it comes to actually creating, when it comes to turning ideas into reality, it simply can't. It can guide, inspire, and suggest, but it can't build, it can't decide, and it can't innovate. Because at its core, AI doesn't create, it calculates. It rearranges what it's been given into something new, but it doesn't dream, it doesn't imagine, and it doesn't take risks. All of that, the spark of true creativity, that's still left in human hands. And maybe that's the lesson here. AI can do a lot, but the one thing it can't do is what makes creation meaningful in the first place. It can't make something truly its own. And no matter how advanced it becomes, maybe it never will.